Hello friends, welcome back to my studio. Hope you're well. It certainly feels good to be back in the studio. I'm feeling like I have got the energy for it. Thank you for your patience for allowing me to have some time away. If I'm not making any sense, go back and have a look at my previous vlog and that will update you. It's called Update. And that will bring you up to speed to where I've been. I actually got quite sick after the funeral, so it's to be expected. I'm not 100%, but I'm doing as well as can be expected with what's gone on. So today I'd like to talk to you about these books that I mentioned that I got for my birthday, color mixing. So there's a color mixing recipe book that I had in a cart on my wish list for a long time, and I watched a vlog by Laura Horn that she talked about a few colour books, some of her favourite books, and this one was part of the mix, and it got me over the line. I said yes, why not? I've wanted this for a long time, I've got a birthday, I'm going to get this book. And then the other two books that she mentioned were these two books, and I've really enjoyed them. I got a lot out of them. Let's turn the camera around and I'll talk about pros and cons of them and what I've found with them and what I've learned. So let's look at this one first. It is 1500 Colour Mixing Recipes, Oil, Acrylic and Watercolour by William F. Powell. And it's exactly as it says. There's 1500 colour swatches and how to mix them in the different mediums. And it also has sections on landscapes, typical colours for landscapes, and for portraits. There we go. And it also comes with some charts for mixing up your own. I'll keep it on the white so you can see it. Charts for mixing up the quantities, a colour mixing grid, and also this little grid when he talks about one part of this and one part of that. This is to help measure you, and it's on an acetate sheet so you can clean that off. Not sure that I would actually use that portion, but it's good that it's there. So other interesting things is where you can see the tinting value with when you've got obviously more white added in and less white, what it does, what grey does, what black does, all those sorts of things. What else do I want to say about it? The landscape colours I think are particularly nice, range of colours. And so each colour has, not sure whether the camera will pick that up, but it has, this is 3 parts white, 2 parts alizarin chrism and 1 part zinc yellow, and that will give you this colour here. So while I was away on holiday, I found this bowl in an op shop, and I didn't really need a bowl, but I just loved these two colours. And the way I would use this book is, while you're learning about colour, obviously I can see that this has got orange tinge, so I know it's going to have yellow and red in it, and this is a little bit more pinky, so it's going to have more red. Obviously they've got white in it because they're quite tinted. I also think this is going to have a little bit of yellow in it, but the way I would use this book is, I've just marked this page because I found this colour here. Again, I'm not sure how close the camera can pick that up. That's a very good starting point. It's not going to be exact, but it's a very good starting point. So I can see that this colour here as a starting point to be able to mix this colour has 5 parts white and a speck of vermilion in it. And this shows you here with less what vermilion is like on its own. And then as you add white, you get up to this heavily tinted colour. So the problem I have with this book is, you know, there's 1,500 versions of colour in here, and if you haven't got, you know, like this is another very close paint swatch to that colour. I don't have any cadmium vermilion. In fact, I don't have any vermilion because I tend to not like that type of red. So this book is only really useful if you've got a lot of paint colours. If there is colours that you do like, you could probably get close to this colour with another type of red and you know, adding a bit of yellow in and a little bit of white. So yeah, what I want to warn you about is, while it can seem fantastic to have this book that has all of these amazing colours in, it's certainly very pretty to look at. You can get caught into buying way more paint colours than you actually need. So lovely book, good starting point perhaps to learn what the different blues, what the different reds, how they behave, how they mix, and really more as an education rather than needing to go out and buy every colour that any paint company produces so you can mix all of these colours. Good starting point, good reference. The next book I bought from, as I said, from Laura Horn's vlog on colour mixing, or her recommended books. This is the Colour Scheme Bible by Anna Starmer, and again, it's a lovely book. I chose it because it has all of these really lovely suggested colour palettes, and you can see by the amount of post-it notes that there are a lot of colour palettes that I am inspired by. And you know, when you think about this bowl that I've just bought and see these colours, these are in harmony because they're very close to each other in colour. And this is a great way to go, okay, well, you can put these turquoisey, phthalo greeny colours and some neutrals with it. And then you've suddenly got, you know, from here and go, I'm interested in these colours, and here's a suggestion of what will go with those colours. So it's a really, really great book. And as you can see, I've started to take notes on how you mix all of these colours. What I did was I took a photo of each of these pages and I put it into the Golden website. They have a colour mixing tool, and I'll put some stills up of that. And basically you can upload a photo, a reference photo, and then put a dropper on each little area, and it will give you a suggested recipe for how to mix that colour. Now obviously what our eye can see compared to what digitally can be seen, it's not going to be exact. It is definitely going to be just a reference. But what I was able to find with, say, these colours here, this colour palette here, putting it into that guide, was that colour number 1, so this main pink colour, is titanium white, Titan Mars pale with some quin magenta in it, and that will get me close to this colour. Again, what your eye, the nuances that your eye can see that digitally, you know, taking a photo of this is already changing from what my camera can see to what the print is. What would be lovely is to be able to put this page under some sort of sensor that would give the colour, be a lot more accurate. But anyway, it's given me a good reference. And then colour number 2, which You know, this is pink and this is a brown colour, but it has some Titan Mars Pale, some raw sienna, some bone black and some cad orange gets you that colour. And this one has, number 3, has some bone black, some quin magenta and some cad orange. And what I found the most useful thing about putting this into that tool was seeing that when you look at this page, the colours, obviously these are all going to have red in them. They're on that pinky range. But interestingly, this has got the quin magenta in it, this colour. And so that teaches us something about colour mixing, in that why these sit together is because what's in this and this and this is also in this colour. And that helps that harmonise with this, and that's why this colour works in this palette. So it's a great thing to remember whenever you are painting, to put a little bit, this is when I talk about this hero colour, often called a hero colour. If you choose one colour, so for this one, one of the common colours is this quin magenta. So whatever colour palette you end up going with, if you choose one of your colours and you put a little bit or a lot of this same colour into everything else on your palette, all of that will harmonise in a painting. All your colours will harmonise together. And you can see further that number 4 here has the quin magenta in it, and also number 5. So out of these 5 colours, 4 of them have the quin magenta in them. So that's why this colour palette is working so well. And what I found interesting as I went through, that happened every time I looked at a colour palette and put down these colours to work out how to make these colours. They all had a common colour or two in them. So it was something that I already knew, but it was really interesting to see that in action. And so some of the other colour palettes that I was drawn to, these earthy ones, it really has, I really like these blues, and it was interesting to bring in this soft yellow with those. And so I haven't worked out how to mix all of these colours. It's interesting that this colour keeps returning. But yeah, you get the idea. It's got just an absolute ton of suggested colour palettes. And so I would highly recommend this book. It's for designing home interiors. And so she talks about, that's what this panel here is, the actual paint swatch that you get from the paint store. But it's a great way to get a scheme of colours together for a painting. And yeah, as you can see, there's just absolute, showing the way the reds work in the interior, but a vast majority of the book is just full of colour palette suggestions. So if you're looking at different colour palettes, this would be a great one. And the last book is this one, Spectrum, Heritage Patterns and Colours by Thames and Hudson. And it is a book that has tapestries or materials and then picking the colour palette from that reference. And so it's heritage patterns and colours that are found in tapestries. I think mostly it's from tapestries. And so it goes through the centuries, starts at the 15th century. So it gives this example of this tapestry, and then it pulls out these colours that are in this tapestry. Now you can see I haven't got anywhere near as many post-it notes, but I've still got quite a lot. And it was interesting if I show you some of the ones I've flagged. So the panels are arranged where it has a large portion, of course, of this green and red in here and smaller portions of these colours down here. And I love how the image, you get a really good size of the reference and a really good size of the panel. And what it gives you is the printing colour. So you CMYK colours to mix that colour, which you could put into that golden tool that I spoke about earlier. And it was interesting, this one I came across and it reminded me very much of a lot of Vincent van Gogh's colour palette. Was often he used this yellow and blue tones together in his paintings. And this one was interesting because it shows how close on the colour wheel all of these colours are, and you can see on a broad scale then when they're put down as an artwork, in this case I think it's a wallpaper, how in harmony those colours go. So when you choose an analogous, however you pronounce that, but it basically means colours that are close to each other on the colour wheel. So if I get the colour wheel out, you can see it is these sort of colours that are in this colour palette. And then this one, of course, is a monochromatic. Has a hint of the deep yellow. Again, quite harmonious, which I'm really wanting to move towards. And then there's one that's a bit from all over the colour wheel. Similar colours to what I've been using, you know, this Venetian red and the violets I've been using. The light orange is there, and then it's a little bit lighter than Prussian blue, but yeah, you can see that this is quite similar to the colour palette that I've been using recently. This is a really lovely book to look at, and I just love how it's got really big reference photos and really big colour swatches to move on from. Yeah, so I also really recommend this book. So for building colour palettes and understanding how colours work together, I would choose these two. And even though this was the one that was on my wish list, I think I'll use this less. And as you can see, I've got nothing flagged in this, and I've got all of these post-it notes in these, so that's very telling, isn't it? So the other thing that I have got available on my website is a chart of all of the Matisse colours, because I tend to use Matisse, because different paint companies call colours different things. But based on the Matisse range, I've got a colour chart available there that groups all of the colours into colours that have what I'm calling pigment families. So all colours that would have a base quin magenta in them, or a titanium white in them, or a raw sienna mixed in them. I've got a chart there free to download that can help you group the paints that you already use, help group them into colours that will go together because they share a hero colour in that they share a pigment, the same pigment colour, which acts as a hero colour. So there we are. That's what I've got to share with you this week. And I'm a little bit rusty, so bear with me while I get back into the swing of things. I haven't been completely idle. I haven't been out in the studio, but I've certainly been watching a lot of other artists and getting inspired and taking lots of notes of things that I want to do. And I've got some very exciting things to show you about using the gel plate and working on some smaller works. So yeah, I've got lots and lots of great stuff coming up. I hope you'll join me. But that is it for this week. I hope you have a lovely week, and I shall see you next week. Bye.